A very good evening to everyone who's joining us live. It's a beautiful Sunday evening here in Colombo. It's a gloomy day, a perfect Sunday to spend at home. I hope it's the same in the other parts of the country as well. So I hope all of you are like you've had your evening cup of tea and sat in front of your computer, mobile phone, just to enjoy this session as we share knowledge. So I welcome you all to the Pick a Book, the Flipside Corporate Edition webinar series. This is yet another great episode that is in store for you today. So my name is Ashinsani Veerasinghe and I'm the moderator for this session. Before we start, to give you a little bit information about Pick a Book, it encourages the reading habit by getting all participants to select a book, read and research thoroughly, and present a summary, which also helps to hone his or her public speaking skills, communication, and presentation skills. By doing this, Pick a Book not only inculcates the habit of reading, but also helps to impart a wealth of knowledge. And the objective of the Flip Side webinar series is to get the individual opinions and perspectives, and also to share the lessons from outstanding books. Now, when talking about outstanding books, you must have already seen the flyer today. We are going to talk about two books today. Share lessons from two outstanding books. So let me first introduce you the two books. One is Atomic Habits, where they talk about an easy and proven way to build good habits and break the bad ones. It's written by James Clear. I'm sure that's one book we all look forward to know about. And the other book is The Art of War, the definitive interpretation of the ancient Chinese military strategist Sun Tzu. Now, these are two books we will take parallelly and share knowledge about. And I'm not going to do that alone. I have two presenters to present the two books. So let me now introduce the two presenters to you. First of all, let me introduce Aman Reza. To tell a bit about him, he is a product support engineer at UTE, the Caterpillar dealer in Sri Lanka. He holds an undergraduate degree in electrical and electronic engineering from the University of the West of England in Bristol, and is currently reading for the Masters in Business Administration at the Postgraduate Institute of Management, University of Sri Jayewardenepura. He is the vice chairman of the Pick a Book Club at UTE, and he's also a Toastmaster. He is a constant learner and enjoys traveling and loves to engage in community work and make a difference in people's lives. Hello to you, Aman. A very good evening.
Hello, Ashi. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure to host you as well. Next, let me introduce the next presenter, Prathapan Kanesh Pillai. He is currently working for Mobitel and he has 15 years of overall experience in customer service, sales, and marketing. He is professionally qualified in marketing and he is a chartered member of CIM UK and completed his MBA specialized in marketing who has never missed a gym even on more than any. I guess there was a bit of a technical issue that I had to face. Pardon for that. If I ask you, Aman, where did I get stuck so that I can continue?
You got stuck while you were introducing Pratap.
Aman. Oh, okay. Sorry. Let me reintroduce
Sorry, while
him.
introducing. Yeah.
Okay. Let me introduce him again. Pardon for the connection issue. So, Prathapan Kanesha Pillai, he is currently working for Mobitel, who has 15 years of overall experience in customer service, sales, and marketing. He is professionally qualified in marketing, a chartered member of CIM UK, and completed MBA specialized in marketing from the Cardiff Metropolitan University. Before devoting his work full time, he is a gymaholic who has never missed a gym, even on a Monday morning. He is also a die-hard Manchester United Football Club fan, backpack traveler, and of course, he loves the smell of a new book. But more than anything, he says he's concentrating on his 4 months old baby girl, Joshna, these days, while enjoying his wife's delicious food. Hello, Prathapan. A very good evening to you. I think you're on mute.
Very good evening to you, Ashi. Thanks for this lovely interaction. Thank you very much.
Apologies for the connection issue, you know.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
So, how are you two doing this evening? How's Sunday going to both of you?
As usual,
It's
with
going
the
well.
family.
Surviving.
Yeah.
Surviving, I guess. We're all in that mode during these hard times. So, without further ado, I would like to get into the conversation. So, to the ones who are watching us live, let me let you know Aman Reza is talking about the book of Atomic Habits, and Prathapan is taking the book of The Art of War. Now, I would like to start the conversation with Aman on the book of Atomic Habits. Tell us what is Atomic Habits, and along with that, let us know what do you think the objective of the author was in writing this book, Atomic Habits.
Okay. Okay, to start off with the objectives part, let me first tell you that the name of the author is James Clear, and he is essentially a writer. So he has been writing on the internet, I think, publishing articles from the year 2012. He has his own blog with about 1 million subscribers and all that. And all the articles were having the same theme of self-improvement or self-development or how to build better habits, etc., etc. So what he did was he compiled all of that and wrote a very step-by-step approach on how to build better habits. And he published this book in the year 2018. The book has already sold about 5 million copies and is a New York Times bestseller. So in terms of achieving the objectives, I would say he has done a good job in achieving the objectives. Now, when it comes to what Atomic Habits is all about, I would say the term Atomic Habits actually refers to tiny changes or like the 1% improvements that we do in our lives. Sometimes the things that will not necessarily have a show, like you will not see the results of that activity, but these are like really small improvements that we can do to our lives that can actually have a huge compounding effect later on. So just to give an analogy to the term atoms, like, basically atoms are considered to be the smallest part of any item. I know you can go inside an atom as well, but just for the sake of argument, let's say atoms are the part of every item. So Atomic Habits are considered to be the building blocks of achieving remarkable results. So that's what the author says. So at the beginning of the book, he gives an example. And you can also see this example in an HBR article as well. So basically, this example is around a cycling team. Basically, the British cycling team, which achieved like a lot of gold medals in I think the 2016 Olympics. So what happened was, before that, they were really bad. Like, they didn't win any gold medals for a long time, and people, like even the brands, didn't even want to sponsor their team because it will give a bad impression of the brand itself, right? So what happened was, this coach took over the team, and he was a big proponent of this 1% improvement idea. So what he did was, he did 1% improvements in the entire team. Even when it comes to the seats of the bike, he improved it a little. He improved the tires. He rubbed alcohol on it for a better grip. He tested
Yeah.
different types of massagers to see which has the better muscle recovery for each athlete. He even went on to the point of determining which type of pillow that people can, like the athletes can use, that can give
Oh,
them like a better sleep. Even the
wow.
type of mattress, even the type of sensors that are attached to their bodies that can give a feedback on how their
Yeah.
bodies will respond to each different types of workouts. So he
Oh,
he invested himself in improving all of these aspects, and what happened was all these snowballed, and after some time they achieved remarkable results. They went on, couple of gold medals and all of that. So this is like a real life example of how little improvements, when you're consistently doing it, consistency is key. So once you're consistently doing it, you can see remarkable results over time. Even like mathematical, even if you take the number one and you improve it by 1%, like 1.01, you multiply that, or you power that to like 365. So over the period of 1 year, he would say you're 37 times better, just 1%. But if you go 0.99, you're almost at nothing. So what he
yeah.
says is over time magnifies the margin between success and failure. So it multiplies
Yes.
whatever you feed it. Over time, if you're doing good things, you become better at it, and over time, if you do bad things, you'll just go to almost nothing.
Yeah.
And another point I'll mention before giving you the flow is that he talks about this thing called plateau of latent potential. So
Okay.
what this essentially means is that whenever we do any activity or any habit that we try to inculcate in our lives, we expect immediate results. We think, okay, if I go to the gym today, I have to see some results. If I start a diet, I have to see some results immediately. So what he says is that outcomes are always delayed, and the progress is not always linear. So he gives an example of an ice cube. Now I think the figure is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. He says an ice cube melts at that temperature, 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Uh, and you take the ice cube out of whatever cold container that you have, and you keep it at a different place at room temperature. Say for example, it's 27 degrees, and you improve it. You increase the temperature to 28, and you increase it to 29, you increase it to 30, and you increase it to 31, and all this time until it increases from 27 to 31, you will not see any change in the ice cube, right? You will not see any change. But is it in vain? The energy that you use to improve it, like increase the temperature from 27 to 31, is it in vain? It's not.
No.
And at the 30 temperature of 32 degrees, you will see a breakthrough moment. You will see the moment it starts melting. And this is essentially how habits are. You have to just keep at it. You have to be consistent. And over time, you will hit that breakthrough moment, and you will see results. So it's like we expect results to be linear. Like every time we do, we expect it to be, to see results. So what happens
Yeah.
is he explains the results will be like this. It will be like a downward curve, and then you will see it rising. So this
Yeah.
downward curve is what he calls it a valley of disappointment. So that is where everyone gives up. Like, oh my God, I'm just doing at it. I don't see results. Let me just forget it. So what he says is keep at it, keep doing 1% improvements, and in time you will see results. So this is essentially the meaning of atomic habits.
Thank you so much, Aman. I think that put a great foundation to that book of Atomic Habits, and it's a book that we should dive deep into. Meanwhile, let's also go into the book of The Art of War, presented by Prathapan. Prathapan, let us know, like, tell us a bit about the book and its author to lay a foundation to the book.
Yes, Sachin Sunny. This book is not very a big book. It contains only 100 odd pages. So it's a small book. You can read this book in actually 45 within 45 hours. And this book is all about Chinese war and its history. And also book talk about the several military personalities and their strategies. How did they face the war, wins and defeats? It's all about war. Nothing is there. It's all about war and their strategies. Also, Art of War books talk about some interesting facts about the uh, Great Wall of China. I was amazed to see the Great Wall China was spoken about in the book. This the word art of art of a book also talk about the strategies which was used uh, in territory wise, and also when they uh, have this war with the other countries, and also talk about the Great Hall. There were some insights, some interesting facts they have spoken about in the book, how the Great Wall was made, how manpower was used, and many more facts about the Great Wall. I was personally actually amazed to read the facts that the Great Wall. Also, Otho constantly framed like other military personalities, but is a special character among all the generals who used unique strategies than other military generals in that era. And also, Sun Tzu is not only the author of this of the book Art of War, but he was a military strategist, army general, and also philanthropist. The origin of the book, which is handwritten bamboo sticks in Chinese, are kept in China, and it's still being protected by them. And also, Art of War book is one of the highest selling book, the best selling books in the world. Still, it's a 25,000 years old book, and still
Oh,
it's a
wow.
best selling book here. And the other fact about the book is, Ashinjani, the book is still, this book is talks about the military strategies, but you still can use this. I mean, you still can
In your normal
adapt the
life.
strategies. Sorry?
Is it something
Yeah.
that you can apply in your normal life where
Normal
you
life,
learn?
not only normal life. It's it says you can use it in politics, sports. For coaches, it helps a lot. The sports
Okay.
coaches, it helps a lot. Politicians, and then of course for the war, and also you can use it in your personal life, like relationship and marriage life as well. So
Sure.
yes, and also it's believed to be the great Napoleon inspired and used certain strategies from the book, from the start of a book. And we everyone knows about Napoleon. He was one of the best the army personality who lived in 19th century. And also there are altogether 13 chapters in the book which explain about military strategies. There are about 40 pages in beginning of the book explain about the ancient warfare and some other wars happened in the 19th century in China. That's all about the book and the author, Ashin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Pratap. And I think that was also a good foundation that was laid to that book of The Art of War. And just like you said, it's not just about going to war. If politicians and even day-to-day life, how manage things with family relationships, I'm sure it's a good thing. Probably we should send this to the Parliament as well for them to read and get to know some strategies. Along with that, I would like to come back to Aman on the Atomic Habits book. Now, where you laid a good foundation on saying, how you make habit. Like, the author talks about it. That's the basic objective. Does this book talk about goals and also effective ways to achieve goals?
Yes, thank you so much, Ashi. So, getting back to the second question that you asked, like, thinking about goals, I also expected this book to always talk about goals and maybe find ways of achieving them. So, what I actually found was like almost the opposite. Because what this author says is that forget about goals, don't think
Oh,
about goals. So what it tells you instead is to think about the systems that you have in place to achieve whatever that you want to achieve. So he talks about this point, right, by bringing four problems that he finds with goals, right. So the first problem that he finds with goals is that winners and losers, they have the same goal. For example, if you look at a race, right, the person who gets the gold medal and the person who comes in last, Both of them, if you ask them what your goal was, they would say, my goal was to win the gold medal. But sharing the same goal wasn't really what helped them to actually get the gold medal. So winners and losers share the same goal, right? That that was like a big light bulb for me. So
Oh
that
yeah,
was
it
the
is
first.
actually.
Yeah.
Even
So
right now
second,
for me.
so the second problem that he talks about is that achieving a goal is only a momentary thing, right? Like for example, you walk into your room and you see a very messy room, right? And okay, then you have the goal of cleaning up your room,
Yeah.
and then that's it. You cleaned up your room, you have achieved the goal, and that's a momentary thing. But what happens is, couple of days later, you'll come back to a messy room again. So what you're doing is you're just repeating the same thing whilst having the same goal. So what you should do instead is to have a system in place that you will not allow your room to get messy in the first place. So that is the second problem. So not look at a momentary change, have systems in place. So the third problem he talks about is that goals restrict our happiness. So what he means by this is that we are not happy until we reach a goal. Like every time you ask yourself, you know what, I have to do this. Once I achieve this, I will be happy. Once I get to this level in my business, I will be happy. Once I, get this grade, I will be happy. So that it's like an either or thing where when you are only focused on goals, it restricts your happiness.
Yeah.
And the fourth thing and the last thing is that goals are at odds with long-term progress. Because what he says is the purpose of having a goal is to win the game. But the purpose of building systems is to continue playing the game. Like for example, if you take a sports example and say it's a cricket match. Okay, each team has the goal of scoring say 300 runs. Okay, now you have that goal in you. But if you're only going to focus on the goal, runs are not going to come into you, right? If you keep looking at the scoreboard, it's not going to increase. You have to keep at it. You have to do your work. You have to work on your systems, and the score will take care of itself. And that's what he says. The score will take care of itself. So these are essentially the problems that he talks about in terms of having goals, right? So again, like for example, now coming back to the sports example, now if you think about a coach, say a cricket coach, the goal that he has is to win a championship, right? So if he was to only focus on that goal, you will not actually achieve anything. But if you were to focus on the manner in which you recruit your players, how your practices are conducted, how your assistants are managed, all of that, or when you focus on these systems, you can actually achieve it. So focusing on the systems will also help you achieve goals. So that is essentially what he says. Like even for a business owner, you should not only have the goal of having or building $1 million business. Rather, you should think about what your products are, how you sell the products, your pricing, how you hire employees, how you run marketing campaigns. Once your systems are properly in place, your goals will eventually come. Your goals will eventually be achieved. So that's what he says in terms of goals. Like don't really focus a lot on goals, rather focus on the systems. And one of the famous quotations in this book is, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So yeah,
I think
that's
this
one of
is.
the
Yeah, I think I also learned a lot through this answer of yours, because when everybody keeps saying, have a goal, but I think this author has tried, James Clear has tried saying it out in a different way, where
Yeah.
usually what we hear is have a goal and have your, daily task aligned to the final goal that you want to go, and be consistent. Right, but when it comes to this author, he has put it in a different way to say, it's not rising up to the goals, but falling down to the system, and it's it's kind of the same thing, but goes in a different way, so that it actually eats the brain to say, do that, be consistent, and get into your habits. Okay, so with that, let's also move into the art of war. I would like to ask Prathapan, will you be able to share some great lessons from the book? I'm sure Sun Tzu has shared many, but some of the great lessons that you think will be good to share.
Of course, Ashi. In the book, he has spoken about so many things. You can learn so much in the book. Though he has spoken about the strategies in the war. What I learned from this book is actually everything in our life is a process. I mean, we have to definitely follow the process. Otherwise, we will collapse. So, and in the process, should be followed and handled correctly, our life will be invade us. Rather, we invade the life the way we want. So what he says is, if you are ready for a war, don't show your plans. Don't show your plans. Don't show them that you are ready for the war, and just be just you are, and enemy will come to you, and then you hit them. So likewise, what I learned from this book is one of the greatest I would like to mention is not to reveal the future plans, and not to show that you are prepared for a crisis. So that is very important thing that I learned. Always pretend that you are not ready for the future issues, but keep preparing yourself for anything crucial could happen. And we have to make other wonder what we are up to, and the best answer for that will be positive end results. So he spoken about the processes, the war, where you can adapt the processes in your personal life. As I learn in this book, I don't show anything to others what I'm going to do, and what I'm up to. If you are actually laying a plan inside yourself and keeping it a secret and work towards it, you will definitely win the battle, win the life battle, and it give you credits for sure.
I think this book is also taking us through a different path, not just advising anybody to do things, but also sharing a strategy to put into practice. And then, it's like a trial and error kind of a book that takes us through. Am I correct, Pratap?
Yes, if you could read the book, you won't see anything apart from the war strategies. You see, they have won this war, and then they killed 100,000 men out of 900,000 men, and then they talk about terrain, and they talk about the map of the war zone, and they talk about only about the war, but so many people have succeeded in their life using this strategy. Even in the marketing, even in marketing subject, you will see a marketing tool called warfare strategy. So actually, that is adopted from this book only. I mean, adopted from Sun Tzu's Art of War.
Okay.
Yeah, they are using it. All the marketers are using it to attack the competitor.
So that's amazing. That's amazing. Like when you read it, you learn it in your own way and take the learnings out and apply in a way possible. So along with that, coming into the Atomic Habits, back to Aman, I would like to ask the question now. How does the author talk about change? Now, when it comes to changing something in life, a lot of people want to make a change and become better as individuals, but there's a risk factor also involved. Are there any tips in the books that are shared by the author when it comes to desiring change and making a change in life?
There is actually a very interesting perspective he talks with regards to change. So what we normally think about change is that we think about when we think about change, it's always outcome based, right? Say, for example, I want to lose weight, I want to reduce X number of kilograms, or I want to run a marathon, or like I want to publish a book, or etc., right?
Yeah.
So, in terms of change, now James Clear talks about three layers of behavior change. So, one is outcomes based, one is process based, and the third one is identity based. So, what a lot of people think about change, when a lot of people think about change, they think about outcomes. But what James Clear says is that when you think about change, think about it in terms of your identity. Like, firstly, figure out how do you want to be identified, or who you are as a person, and then try to do things that will actually complement that identity. So one of the famous quotes from this book is that the ultimate form of intrinsic motivation is when a habit becomes a part of your identity. So when it becomes part of your identity, you have a great amount of motivation to actually do that particular thing. The more pride you have with a particular aspect of identity, the more you will be motivated to do it. So now, when it comes to change, now think about two people trying to quit smoking. Okay, just let me give you an example so that it hits home, right? So the person who is who is taking an outcome based approach, he would, like, when offered a cigarette, he would say, "No thanks, I'm trying to quit. I'm trying to quit smoking," right?
Yeah.
But when a person has an identity based approach, he would say, "No thanks, I am not a smoker." As
Makes
opposed to
sense.
saying, "I'm trying to quit," he says, "I'm not a smoker." So that perspective itself comes from your identity. Now you have identified yourself as a non-smoker, so that activity doesn't really gel well with that identity. So when it comes to change per se, he says always focus on your identity. And another interesting quote that he mentions in the book is that every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. So we all have aspirations as to, I want to be like this, I want to do this, I want to do that. And we also need to now identify what type of actions that we need to do to achieve that type of that level, or that type of personality.
Yeah.
So he says change is a two-step process. Number one is decide the type of person you want to be, and then prove it to yourself with small wins. Basically, do little bit of actions here and there that complements that kind of identity. And every action you take is a vote, right? So the
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
action you take for that proves that identity, you are actually casting a vote every day. You're casting a vote. Okay, I'm this type of person. I'm this type of person, and that, he says, is the best intrinsic motivation you have for change.
Right. That's what the author says. Again, this is really interesting. I think this is one book I will have in my list and read about. Coming into Pratap and the Art of War, and you shared some of the lessons that were shared in the book by the author. What are the winning strategies in the war, according to the author?
Yeah, according to the author, Ashi, when his enemies prepare themselves and ready for the war with their weapons, and then the manpower, and also when I say weapons, in back in ancient Chinese era, they didn't have the weapons what we are having in this modern era. They had the spears, and then arrows, and then the chariots, and those kind of the weapons. Only they had it. So
Yeah, that's right.
the both the enemies will have the same the weapons. They are they are win the war is with the manpower, and also obviously the strategies they use. As I said, when the opponent, when they're ready for the war with their weapons, they are thinking they have much more better weapons they have, and the manpower they have, and all. What Sun Tzu did was he was playing with his mind, and to win the battle. What he did was he he himself. made a speech to their soldiers saying, "Army should remain prepared with all the necessary weapons, but it must trick the enemy by explaining the lack of preparation of war. In this way, the enemy would most probably attack." So the strategy that he used was to trick the opponent and made them think that they are not well prepared, and thinking that they just come into their territory and start the war. And then what they do is with the strategy they have already laid out, they capture the opponent and won all the wars. So the strategy
Okay.
mainly what he used was he did not show that he had a plan, and his manpower is very much strengthened, and he didn't show anything out. He was let the enemy to come in, and he attacked them and won all the wars. That's the strategy he has used in the war. In marketing, you can use this to capture the market or kill the
That's right.
competitor products. So let them introduce the product first, and they think, okay, we are the first come to the market. And what you do is just look at them, and but one strategy is copying them,
Yeah.
copying them,
Yeah.
and just look at them. And what you do is you build a better product than them, and you come up with a new product, and customer will see that okay, this customer, this organization came up with a better product, and what they do is they start to migrate from that particular organization to this. Actually, it still work in the marketing a lot. So that's the strategy used in the and also so many marketing department in big organizations are using the strategy
They're
used here.
practicing the same
Yeah.
strategy. I think that is where by practicing such strategy is only where even for companies or anybody that gives a competitive advantage, where we use the term in marketing as well, where it gives a competitive edge, where you don't really put out everything at once, but you are silent, you have your resources inside, and when it's all done, you put it out, and you come like we say a bomb blast. You drop the bomb.
Yeah.
Okay. Very well. So coming into atomic habits again, coming into Aman. Earlier we spoke about how change, how author speaks about making a change. Now I would like to come into the topic of making a habit of something. It's sometimes a lot of people always complain about making a habit, and a lot of authors in so many books have spoken about how to make a habit. It takes 21 days and blah 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 whatnot. Now I'm interested to know, what does this author James Clear talk about how to build habits?
Right. So in terms of how to build habits, interestingly enough, like you mentioned, right, 21 days, and some would say 60 days, 90 days. So what James Clear says is that do not focus on the number of days. Like he says, success is not like a finish line that you need to cross, right? It's not like you have to achieve this and then you're successful. What he says is, like I think how I alluded before, it's a system that you need to have to improve and to endlessly refine, and then that should be a target, right? So he says the process of building habits is actually becoming yourself. Like you are getting to know yourself. Like, so what he says is, rather than focusing on the number of days, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a lifestyle that you need to live. Even though you may continuously do it for 21 days or 60 days or 90 days, and then you stop abruptly, it just goes out of your system, right? So in other words, don't think about it as a finish line to cross. Think about it as a lifestyle to live. Like you should continuously live that life. Once you decide that you need to adopt this habit into yourself, keep living it, right? So now, how can we adopt a habit? So what the author talks about 4 stages of habit formation. Number 1 is a cue. Number 2, craving. Number 3, response. And number 4, reward. A cue is basically something that triggers you to do an action. Like for example, you're tired and you're bored and you want to do something that behavior is like a trigger. So the second part of habit formation is a craving. So once you have that trigger and once you have that cue, you will have the need to like entertain yourself, right? So then comes the next stage, the response. So how do you entertain yourself? You log into social media, go to Netflix, and then the fourth stage is reward, which is the last stage, which is entertainment. So these four stages, you should use it for behavioral change. So basically, for positive behavioral change, number one is using the cue. Make the cue obvious. Like if there is something that you really want to do, identify what triggers it and make it obvious. And
Oh, okay.
on the flip side, if you want to stop a bad habit, make it invisible. Like if there is, say for example, you want to quit the habit of smoking, and there are certain individuals or a certain smell that triggers it. Try your level best to not even go near it, right? So make it obvious for good habits, make it invisible for bad habits. Step number two is craving. Make it attractive for good habits and make it ugly for bad habits, right? And
Yeah.
step number three is the response. Make it easy for good habits and make it harder for bad habits. And finally, the reward, you need to make it immediately satisfying and immediately unsatisfying for bad habits. I know it's a lot of information, and
Yeah.
I don't
But
know
it's
how much
interesting.
y'all. Yeah. So just to give you all an example for each stage, right? Now, the first stage is to make it obvious. So one thing he says is that, say for example, like an example he gives in the book is, if you want to get the habit of flossing, uh, you have to keep it in a place that is right in front of you. Like in the morning when you're brushing your teeth, keep it right in front of you. When it's obviously right smack in front of you, it's so easy to adopt, right? So
Yeah.
make it obvious in terms of environmental design. Like for example, he gives a example of like water. I mean, to improve the water intake of individuals in a company or whatever, if you were to have a lot of water stations like situated around, you will notice that since the environment is designed in a way that helps a more water intake, people would drink more water. Like even when it comes to sanitization, like even during the COVID, we see when you have a sanitization place, I mean, you will find your employees doing it more. But if there's only in one place in one corner, people would not do it, right? So this is the first stage, like to make it obvious, to make it right in front of you. Like say for example, you want to start a habit of journaling, you have your journal right in front of you when you wake up. So
Yeah.
that's one way of easily adopting habits. Another example is habit stacking. Like for example, you want to introduce a new habit, try to adopt it with something that you're already doing. So something that you're already doing, okay, on top of that you do another thing, right?
Yeah.
So that is a little bit about the first step. We make it obvious. Make it attractive is about the craving that you have. Try to do it bundled in a way where like it's called temptation bundling, where you adopt a good habit with something that may not be really good. Like for example, he gives an example where this individual, he wanted to like work out. Okay, so he programmed his Netflix to work like when you cycle in the cycling machine. The more you cycle, the program starts working. So he has bundled that with Netflix. So you have to make
Yeah.
it attractive.
That's
And
right.
then yeah, and then the third step, make it easy. So remove friction. Like for example, wow, if you want to adopt a new habit, you have to make a few steps. Like the steps that you need to take to inculcate that habit, you need to reduce the number of steps as much as you can. Like for example, if you want to work out in the morning, try to arrange your workout clothes the night before. So when you wake
Yeah.
up in the morning, the clothes are right in front of you. So it's easier to adopt that habit. And he also talks about this thing called a 2-minute rule, where for every action that you want to take, try to do the first 2 minutes of it. Like for example, if you want to start the habit of journaling, sometimes when you consider it as a chore, you would not want to do it. But if you were to say, look, I'm just going to journal, I'm just going to do it for 2 minutes, that's it, So try to first start any habit with the 2 minute rule, where you just write something and you just stop. So once you get into the groove of it, it's easier to adopt. And finally, he says, make it immediately satisfying, because the thing with good habits is that you will not immediately see results.
Yeah.
We are always get for instant gratification. You will not easily see results. So what he says is, try your level best to somehow make it immediately satisfying. For example, you can find out, like, do things like habit tracking, where whenever you do a habit, there's like a tick mark that you do, so that it's you're satisfied that you've done something, or you go treat yourself for doing something good, etc., etc. So these 4 steps basically are like the laws, he says, of behavior change. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it immediately satisfying. And the opposite for removing a bad habit. And I hope
That's great. And yeah, I think you're making this book really, tempting to read. Now, coming back to Prathapan on the Art of War book, what does the author or the book say about the motive of war?
Yes, Ashinjani. Ashi, actually, the end results, of course, winning the war. Winning the war in the process. Actually, the motive of the war was he wanted to protect the soldiers without going for the war and hardcore war and kill them themselves. So what he did was, he used few strategies to protect their own forces, and then also he used these strategies to capture without killing the opponent, they capture the opponent soldiers or the enemies, and use them to build their own kingdom.
Right.
So they will be having the forces, the workforce, to build their kingdom in China. So that's what he did to. That was motive of war. Actually, in ancient days, a war between countries between territories. So what he did was, even in the own territories, he captured the men and kept them with him, and also he protected them and put them into their own work to build their kingdom. So where they can protect their own general public and his own soldiers. So that was the motive of he has written in this Art of War book, Ashi.
I think somewhere down the line in this conversation, I can actually draw a connection between the Atomic Habits and also the Art of War, where you put the strategies, but you take it with your system, and so a person who reads both the books, I think, can have can put everything into practice. Now, talking about putting things into practice, coming to the final segment of this session, I would like to ask both of you first. I would go ahead with Aman. Aman, tell me, impact did this book have on you? Like, from everything that you gathered, I'm sure there was a lot from. But when you put things, were you able to put things into practice?
Yes, putting everything into practice is always a struggle, but I actually managed to do a few things that I found like really eye-opening. I actually put it into practice, and I found really good benefits out of it. Like, the first thing that I wanted to implement was that change in terms of identity, right? So what I figured out was, okay, like how I said, first find out who you want to become. Like, say you want to become a productive person, you want to become this, that, and the other. List down what activities that help you achieve that identity, and see on a daily basis whether you're actually doing it or not. Like, I actually added this into my journal as well, where there's like a check mark where of all the activities that I want to do, which is a vote for the type of person I want to become. So that really helps me. Like every day, I would say, even when I slack off, sometimes I would say, look, I have to do these things. Why am I not doing it? I want to, this is what I
Yeah.
want to become, and I'm not really doing
Yeah.
the work that helps me to become that person. So it's
Yeah.
like, it's really reality check that helps me to always improve myself and further become better person.
Mhm.
And another thing that I want to share is that when I spoke about the four laws of behavior change, the
Mhm.
third law that I talked about was make it easy. And one of the
Okay.
examples that he gives us, if like whenever you want to do something, try to reduce the friction between that activity and yourself, right? So
Mhm.
what I wanted to do was, I mean, back when travel was a luxury and we used to go
Yeah.
back and I wanted to like start working out. I wanted to go to the gym. So what
Okay.
I thought was, okay, how am I going to find time for this? Like mornings are difficult because I work in Wattal, I live in Dehiwala. So it's like a 1.5 hour
Oh, yeah.
I have to leave early. I have to come back when I come back home. And after
Yeah.
I come back home and like when I, take a shower and then I would never want to leave home to work out again, right?
Yeah.
So I actually practice one of the things that was mentioned in the book is that when you want to do something, remove the friction. So basically, when I when I was looking for a gym, my choice of gyms were always limited to the route that I took. So I was
Yeah.
anyway going down a road from Vattala to Dehiwala. What
Passing
gyms
so
can I
many.
find? Yeah, passing by, so that I don't have to make an extra effort. I always go past that. I mean, I just have to take my like workout clothes and all that in the morning.
Yeah.
That's it. And then like on the way, I just have to stop by, work out, and come home.
Yeah.
So that was really helpful, and I managed to do it regularly until
Oh,
the lockdown came. Yeah. So those are, I think, one of the some of the highlights that I could share.
that's amazing. And I'm sure if you make a habit out of it, you shouldn't really stop because of COVID. You should use
Yeah.
that
True.
2 minutes to do a workout in the morning and then
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
do an online workout at home.
Correct. Correct.
Right. With that coming into Pratap, and on the final note, what sort of an impact did this book, The Art of War, have on you? If there's anything that you apply, what is it?
Of course, Ashi, this book is very close to my heart since
Oh,
this book was the first book that I read. So I have so many books at home, but I didn't. I find a reason to postpone reading them, but I finally
I can
read this
relate.
book. Yes, and that itself made an impact on my life to become a reader. So I love this book called Art of The Art of War. And when you talk about another strategy they have used in the war, use spies. So what you do is you send your men or man to their territory and find out all the details, and you come back
Mhm.
and then you give all the details, and you will give every bit and pieces about their terrain, and then you will go and attack them. So what we did was in marketing, you call it mystery shopping. When you say mystery shopping, uh, the own organization also can do that.
Mhm.
Own organization also can do that by you know using your own staff in this
Mhm.
own tech, to evaluate your service. So you
Mhm.
send them to your customer care center as a
Mhm.
customer, and then you just go and see how the customer service is, how this person is handling you, those kind of things.
Mhm.
So then they will go and give a report to the management team, and then they will come up with uh, a strategy to improve that. So
Mhm.
in that case, uh, I did a mystery shopping. I went as a spy to the competitor officers. I mean the customer care centers. I have actually uh, checked them, and the product was actually it's available in their website. Of course, you can go and check in the website, but the
Mhm.
service and then how you treat the customers, what are the other products which is not there in the website is available in their store. and I actually personally visited them. For us, actually, we have to wear a corporate T-shirt.
Okay.
So what I do is I dress like a gentleman, and then I go there and just do some
Check the
inquiry.
background and comment.
Yeah, do a background check, and then I come back and we just give informations to the product team and say they have packages like this, and we have to attack them in this way. So if we come up with a package like this, maybe we can capture the market share in this particular territory. So likewise, we did this not long ago, two back, and we came up with
Okay.
a competitive package. And I made my neighbor to cry because he's the main competitor branch manager, and he
Oh,
was asking me to top this package because customers are coming and disconnecting all the packages they bought from us. What are you all doing and all? So it was like you can use yourself as a spy and go collect the details and capture the market actually. So that was one
yeah.
of the strategies that I have used and learned. I mean that made big impact in my life. So now not only my organization, the competitors also know that there is a person called Pratap and Ganesh in this territory. So they might come up with a good offer for me in future. I don't know.
Thank you so much, Prathapan,
So
for sharing
that's it. I
that.
mean, yeah.
Be mindful, if your competitors are watching this, you just let it out. They're gonna know next
Hope
time
your
they
neighbor
see
is
you.
not watching it.
Yeah, next time, next time they see you, in casual or in gentleman form, they're gonna be like, "Oh, we're gonna keep an eye on you. You're here for strategies." This is a strategy you're using.
No, not only the outfit. I grow my beard like this, and then
Oh,
you have seen me with a long beard. So it's very hard
yeah,
to
yeah.
you know.
What has this book done to you, Prathapan? All right. So,
Yes.
with that, we have actually come to the end of today's conversation. At the start, didn't I tell you that this is going to be a great episode today? It's another great episode of the Flipside Corporate Edition webinar series. So, today we spoke about two books. One is Atomic Habits by James Clear, and the other one is The Art of War by Sun Tzu. So it was presented by Aman Breza and Prathapan Kaneshapillai. Thank you, Aman. Thank you, Prathapan, for joining with us today in sharing your insights, your point of view, and perspectives about the books, and also bringing out the best of the authors. So thank you so much for joining. With that, to everyone who joined us, thank you so much for joining. Just like I mentioned at the start, Pick a Book Sri Lanka, it's an impactful movement founded based on social patterns that bloom positively through connecting with readers community, and grow more together towards progress. This is what Pick a Book Sri Lanka envisioned for the members. And just like you saw today, we keep sharing, presenting so many books throughout. So we hope to see you soon with another two or more outstanding books, and keep sharing. So once again, thank you, Aman. Thank you, Pratap. And hope I'll meet you all soon again with another two books. And thank you so much for sharing your insights, because I also learned a lot, and probably I'll also put things into apply and practice. And I'll surely read these books. Even though I'm so lazy, I'm going to get back to it, because Pick a Book is anyway pushing me to start reading and keep reading. So they're anyway in the motive. So thank you so much for everyone for joining. We shall see you soon with another successful episode of the Flipside Corporate Edition webinar series. Have a good evening. Stay home, stay safe.
Thank you, Ashi.